catch me outside. How about that?
And they told me that Dr. Phil would be really welcoming and warm and make me feel really comfortable on stage. But that's not what happened.
How do you send multiple minors to a facility in Utah in the middle of nowhere and you don't do a follow-up on them?
You're like a missile without a guidance system.
If you think I exploit people, every time you bring a guest on this show, you exploit them and spread whatever problems they have to the whole world. You think that's helping them?
Yeah, keep telling yourself that. You can go.
Taking you in this moment.
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. My name is Toni Brianne, and in today's video we will be breaking down everything wrong with the Dr. Phil show. So I have been wanting to do this video for such a long time because I sometimes watch clips of the Dr. Phil show whenever it pops up on my YouTube recommended page. As I watched the show and I saw certain people, whether it's a reality star that I watched from another series or if it's just a random person that has come on the show, I have noticed that Dr. Phil kind of gives me the ick with how he speaks to people, with how he handles situations, and then various other pieces of information that I have gained from hearing different stories about Dr. Phil. So of course, I just want to make a disclaimer that we don't know if all of these things are necessarily true, and I will be showing you guys the rebuttal of some of these incidents that happened that guests have said have happened in their experience on the Dr. Phil show, and Dr. Phil's representatives going against that idea. It's a he said, she said, but all I'm gonna say is if there's enough allegations and people keep saying similar things, not everybody could be possibly lying. However, I'm super excited to get into this video, so without further ado, guys, let's get straight into today's video. Hey y'all, quick commercial break before we get straight into this video. I could not finish this video without telling y'all what just happened to me. So I just signed up on this website to get some non-copyrighted content for this current video. It is clear as day that this company has sold my information to someone because I have been getting so many spam emails and so many spam calls. If you're anything like me, I'm sure you guys know exactly where I'm headed with this because I absolutely hate anything that requires spam. I don't have time to deal with fake calls, fake emails, fake this, fake that. That's when Incogni came into hand. Almost immediately after signing up with Incogni, all those spam emails and spam phone calls stopped coming in. Now, my information unfortunately got spread just by using a website, but this can happen when you're signed up with any online store and they start selling your information or there was a breach in their data. You know, if you have Incogni, your information will always and forever be safe. The first 100 people to use my code right here will receive 20% off of Incogni. Thank you so much, Incogni, for sponsoring this segment of the video, and more details on Incogni will be linked down below in my description box. Now I'm gonna let y'all get back into today's video. Dr. Phil was born as Philip Calvin McGraw in Veneta, Oklahoma on September 1st, 1950 to parents Joseph J. McGraw and Ann Gelder Reed. So though I said Dr. Phil was born in Oklahoma, he grew up in the oil fields of North Texas where his father was an equipment supplier. So as Dr. Phil got older, he ended up moving with his father to Kansas to pursue his dreams of becoming a psychologist. In 1975, Dr. Phil graduated from Midwestern State University with a BA in psychology. He went on to earn his master's in experimental psychology in 1976, and then he gained a PhD in clinical psychology in 1979 at North Texas State University, which is now known as the University of North Texas. So after Dr. Phil got his doctorate, he then went with his father to Wichita Falls, Texas, where his father had established a private psychology practice. Dr. Phil and his father partnered with Thelma Box, who was a businesswoman. They came together to present self-help seminars. So 6 years after joining Thelma and his father, Dr. Phil decided to sell his share in the company, and he received about $325,000. And this was probably due to a year prior to this, in 1990, Dr. Phil co-founded Courtroom Sciences Inc., which is more known as CSI, with the lawyer Gary Dobbs. So CSI was and currently is a trial consulting firm that provided services in U.S. litigation, psychology, jury selection, trial consulting, witness training, and depositions, according according to Wikipedia. I know Wikipedia is not known as the most notable and reliable source, but that's where I got that information from. So through this particular business is where and how Dr. Phil met Oprah Winfrey. This was in fact his rise to fame. So in 1995, Oprah reached out to Dr. Phil's consulting team, CSI. She needed him to help her prepare for a case that she was currently working on. She inevitably won that case, and she was saying that she commended Dr. Phil for helping her win that case, and she was so impressed by him to the point that she wanted him to be a guest on her show. So around 1998, after that successful trial ended, Dr. Phil had his first guest appearance on the Oprah Winfrey Show, which was one of the highest rated and highest viewed TV shows in history. His first appearance was so successful that Oprah kept inviting him back, and then he inevitably had his own little segment on the show. He would come on as a relationship and life strategy expert on Tuesdays, and that started in April 1998. So Dr. Phil continued to have more and more successes the longer he was on the show, to the point that Miss Oprah Winfrey thought it would be a good idea to give him his own show in 2002.
Coming up. Let's do it.
And quite frankly, the rest is history. The show has now been on air for more than 20 years. They have aired over 3,000 episodes. Dr. Phil became a best-selling author and is now allegedly worth a whopping $460 million. But at the same time, many people are saying that Dr. Phil has ruined lives to get to this point in his career. So we are going to go down the timeline of why people find Dr. Phil to be incredibly problematic and his show really to be problematic. Starting off with him allegedly being very exploitive towards his guests. So a lot of people feel as if daytime talk shows exploit a lot of everyday people just for views. Shows like Maury, The Tyra Banks Show, Jerry Springer, Steve Wilkos, etc., constantly have people come on their shows, share their stories, and the host will sometimes humiliate them. And Dr. Phil is one host that many feel personally attacks their guests and exploits them for profit. For instance, Dr. Phil had a man named Todd Herzog on his show. Todd was the winner of the 15th season of the hit show Survivor. So Todd appeared on the Dr. Phil show back in 2013, and his appearance was one that was definitely for the books in terms of being very much so humiliating and exploitive. It was a clear and well-known fact that Todd was currently suffering with alcoholism. However, according to Todd and his father, when they showed up to set to go on the Dr. Phil show, there was a bottle of Smirnoff vodka in his dressing room.
I show up to the studios and I'm sober, I'm hurting a lot and I'm shaking. My dad was there and I went and talked to him in his dressing room and I was completely sober. And then they pull me into my dressing room and there was 2 liters of vodka and like some Red Bulls and orange juice and stuff like that. You know, being unsupervised by my parents, I drank the entire bottle.
And later, both Todd and his father alleged that someone on the Dr. Phil team came to Todd after seeing him very visibly drunk and decided to offer him a Xanax to help him quote unquote calm down.
And then at some point somebody gave me a Xanax. They said, this will calm your nerves. And so I had been drinking and took a Xanax, which I've never taken Xanax before in my life. And I know that can be a deadly combination, so why it was given to me, I don't know.
Todd was so inebriated that he had to be carried onto stage, and just the fact he had to be carried onto stage and Dr. Phil continued with the show is just astounding and downright inhumane. Not only that, after seeing Todd was visibly and evidently drunk, it was clear as day, we get he's drunk, Dr. Phil decided to give Todd a breathalyzer in front of a live studio audience and across everyone's TVs in America. There was no purpose in doing that. I just don't get the objective. If you really wanted to help someone, what is the point of doing that if we all know he clearly was under the influence at that point due to your team, allegedly, putting him in a weak position where he would potentially fold because he was struggling with a severe disease. And yes, alcoholism is a disease. So when asked by the Boston Globe about this incident, Dr. Phil declined an interview and instead had a representative of the show speak leaked to the Boston Globe. And according to him, he said guests were never provided alcohol or drugs on the show and that they would never have that happen. I mean, who would boldly expect them to say, oh my God, yeah, we give all of our guests that are struggling with substance abuse drugs and alcohol? Like, no one's gonna say that. There's lots of legalities that goes into that they can't personally expose themselves for that manner. I do also want to commend Todd because today he has been sober for over 5 years. And in 2019, he got engaged to his boyfriend Jesse, and they officially tied the knot in 2020. Another incident happened on a different episode in a different year of the Dr. Phil show was when a girl named Bailey, who was 21 years old, came on the show to speak about a woman that was stalking her on the internet. Dr. Phil then proceeded to go off on this young 21-year-old girl after she just recited her boundaries. And he did so in an unapologetic, rude way. Take a look at this.
Not good.
Yeah, why is that?
I was told that y'all brought someone here that I explicitly said not to bring.
Yeah, who's that?
My biological mother.
Would you like to leave? Because you can certainly leave, because nobody tells me who to put on my show, including you.
Okay.
So if you don't... If you think you're entitled enough to tell me who comes on here and who doesn't, somebody has given you a really bad message.
Of course, yeah, no. If you
So
would like
who
to-
was it that told you that I was agreed to not bring somebody here?
One of your producers.
Okay, who is it? Let's bring him out. Who was it?
I believe it was Stephanie.
Okay, let's bring Stephanie out, because I'll guarantee you she didn't tell you that I agreed to not bring somebody to this show. You may have told her you didn't want that to happen, but she didn't tell you that was not going to happen. I'll promise you that.
All right.
So we'll just find this out right now.
Okay.
Because you may live in fantasy land, but I do not.
Absolutely.
Stephanie, hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Remember I told you, I just said, I don't know?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I said. And I said that Dr. Phil wanted her to be here.
Yes,
And I
ma'am.
just said, I have no idea what's going to go on.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I told you.
Okay, well, that's different than what you just said.
I've been
Stephanie, how
trained to
long
say
how
yes,
long have you
ma'am.
and I been working together? 16 years, correct?
Yes.
I believe when we talked on the phone last night and I asked you if she was coming in, if she was coming on a plane, you said I can't put her on a plane tonight. There's no flights that come out tonight.
But Bailey,
Yes.
I told you I didn't know.
Okay.
And that I have no control over that. And
You
I
have
can't
no control
you.
over me.
That's right.
Absolutely. I would never.
And what? Seriously, what is the rule with the producers here? You don't make deals for me, right?
That's right.
What do you tell people when they ask you what I'm going to talk about or not talk about or do or not do?
I always say I have no idea.
Because
It's
you
up to
don't.
Dr. Phil, because I don't know.
Because I don't know.
That's right.
No, I don't. I don't until I get out here and see what has to be said. But
Yeah.
if the situation was your mother wasn't going to be here, you wouldn't be here. So I would. It ain't even a close call. I would never consider you being here without your mother being here. So that was never even a close call. Now, she doesn't know that because we haven't talked about that. My producers don't tell me what clinically I'm going to do or not do. I make that decision.
Absolutely.
So you can pout or be upset or whatever you want to do, but that is what it is. And if you don't like that, then you can always go home.
Of course, yeah.
I feel as if his actions were very much so uncalled for. And I get that when you go on a show, you're signing up for the good, the bad, and the ugly. I completely get it. But at the same time, if this person is already going on the show, giving you money, they're barely getting paid. I'm sure they're probably just getting flights to come down and hotel rooms to stay at while they're here. That's all she's getting out of this. While you're making a crap ton of money while she is exposing her private life. If there's one question, she didn't say don't bring the girl at all. She just asked, can you not have her on stage while I'm on stage? Now, if that's something that you needed for TV, because I completely get that because I am in the media industry, I understand that. It would have been better if she was at least consulted prior to this happening. Another exploitive incident that happened was when Britney Spears was going on a spiral back in 2008. This was right after Britney Spears had her very public mental breakdown. So while Britney was in the hospital after this happened, Dr. Phil thought it would be a great idea to show up to the hospital uninvited to request an interview from either Brittany or her father. A spokesperson from Brittany's family, though her family is questionable on their own, they allegedly felt betrayed by Dr. Phil for him coming in and invading them on a very private, serious moment. The fact he thought it was even okay to try and get an interview, and obviously he did that because it was for ratings, was just really messed up. Now I understand, once again, I am in media. I talk about things like this. But can we at least let the band-aid fall off before we start terrorizing and interrogating the parents and the family? Especially when this woman literally went through a mental breakdown due to paparazzi being so intrusive in her life. Well, that was just one of many reasons why she ended up on this spiral. There was another major incident when Dr. Phil had former actress Shelley Duvall on his show. At this point in time, when Shelley was on the Dr. Phil show, it was already reported that she had a lot of mental health issues. And there was already a lot of public incidents that happened that showcased Shelley in not the best light. What does Dr. Phil decide to do? Invite Shelley on the show to exploit her in front of millions of his viewers and fans.
Are you in good health as far as like your heart and your lungs and everything? Are you
you
fit?
know, damned if I do, damned if I don't. I mean, if I say I'm healthy, first thing they'll do is hurt me tonight.
Who will hurt you?
Whoever is in security or at the bank doing night work.
Well, that's what I want to help you with, because it sounds like you feel like you have some people that are trying to hurt you.
This is okay right now. I love Robin.
I was sorry when he died.
I don't think he's dead.
Yeah, you don't think he's dead?
No.
Where do you think he is?
Shape-shifting.
Yeah.
He looks real good in some forms, in other forms he doesn't.
Do you see him?
Have, yes.
If Dr. Phil really wanted to help Shelley and show some form of integrity, he could have offered to pay for her to go to a facility with cameras not there and it not even being publicly known. That's what integrity is. And from this situation, it's clear as day that Dr. Phil lacks just that. Numerous of other celebrities, viewers, and critics saw through Dr. Phil when he did this, and they started calling him out for all of his exploitative behaviors, not just towards Shelley, but towards all of his other guests that have come on the show.
It prompted stars like Mia Farrow to boycott today's episode, tweeting, "There should be laws to protect mentally ill people from TV talk show predators like Dr. Phil, who is exploiting Shelley Duvall for his own gain." Meanwhile, Mia's son Ronan also sent out a series of scathing tweets at Dr. Phil. And the daughter of The Shining director Stanley Kubrick also posted an open letter on Twitter, calling the interview lurid and exploitative entertainment.
When the exploitative behaviors of Dr. Phil was brought up to Dr. Phil's, spokesperson, he had this shocking response. Dr. McGraw, who is Dr. Phil if you guys did not know, has a very strong sense of trying to not exploit people. Now, it is a television show. These people volunteer to come on. They beg to come on. And he tries to treat them with respect and to give them the opportunity to get help if they want to do that. It's not a complicated formula. That was one of the most condescending responses I have ever heard, if I'm being honest. Some of these people go on the show not because they're trying to gain fame, and you can't think of everyone going on the show solely for fame. Some of them are going on the show to seek free help. We all know in this country, it is a struggle to get healthcare, let alone any form of healthcare that goes towards our mental health. If anyone is going on a show like this, especially if they're suffering with mental health or they're trying to bring a loved one on the show, I can guarantee you it's probably because they're trying to seek help in an affordable way. Despite the claims that this Dr. Phil spokesperson said, guests on the show had a very different experience, and the Boston Globe reported this very well. In quote, they say this: "Guests confront a painful and potentially dangerous detox as they wait up to 48 hours in hotel rooms for their scheduled taping, leading some to look for illegal drugs. One guest brought heroin with the knowledge and support of show staff, according to a family member. Another guest who was pregnant was filmed by a show staffer while searching for a dealer on Skid Row in LA. If you guys know any addicts or if you watch any stories of addicts, we all know that detox process is one of the hardest processes ever. The fact that Dr. Phil will have these guests waiting in hotel rooms, and I'm almost sure that they have to sign a contract that says that they're not allowed to consume any alcohol or any substance. Putting them in a room for 2 days with no form of help is crazy. It's one of the most dangerous situations you can put anybody in. Now let's talk about the alleged help that Dr. Phil provides provides for his teen guests. As we all know, Dr. Phil has had numerous troubled teens come on his show, but the most notable one definitely has to be Danielle Bregoli. That was the little red-headed 13-year-old girl that had that infamous catchphrase, "Cash me outside." How about that? That was one of Dr. Phil's most popular episodes, and Danielle skyrocketed in fame from this episode and decided to take rapping seriously, and it worked out for her because she had a few hits and is now a multi-millionaire. Aside from that, the episode that she was on with Dr. Phil offered Danielle help by sending her to a facility that was meant for troubled teens. That facility being Turnabout Ranch in Escalante, Utah. And Danielle stated she was abused at that facility for 6 months. Turnabout Ranch will facilitate certain programs for troubled teens, such as diet camps, boarding schools, and pseudo therapeutic programs. However, they have faced numerous lawsuits and backlash for some incidents that happened while some children were at the camp. And some of those incidents led to death. One story was a 16-year-old boy that passed away due to heat stroke in 2009. This young boy was told to hike in 80-degree weather while carrying an 80-pound rucksack. If you don't know what a rucksack is basically a backpack or a book bag. The sole difference is that it allows you to carry heavier things, so he had 80 pounds worth of stuff in that bag. The boy notified the staff that were with him that he felt dizzy and he felt sick, and they told him he was lying. And inevitably, he was not lying. And unfortunately, he passed away. A similar incident happened just 5 years prior with another boy doing something very similar. In 2004, a 14-year-old boy that suffered with obesity was forced to take a hike in 90-degree weather. He was forced to do this until his body went into hyperthermia. When he inevitably fell due to this, a staff member that was with him threw water on him and told him that he knew he was faking it. The 14-year-old boy did pass away, and his family was not notified that he died for 4 years. Those are just some stories. There's stories of torture, abuse, slavery-like conditions, and Dr. Phil continues to send his teen guests to this facility. And let me tell you, all this information is very public. It's a choice at this point. Though Danielle is not everyone's cup of tea, I commend her for sharing her story, and I'm sorry that she had to go through such harsh conditions and hearing some of the stories that inevitably led to death. She's lucky to have survived being at a facility as such. And just to wrap it up, Dr. Phil's demeanor in general is just mean, at least in my opinion, but I can't be too far off because numerous of his employees and guests have called him out for being very harsh towards them. In 2016, a woman that goes by the name of Leah Rothman, she was a former Dr. Phil's employee. She stated that Dr. Phil would imprison his staff members whenever he was negatively portrayed in media and it made him upset. She said, in quote, "Dr. Phil often embarrassed guests on his show in their darkest hour, leaving the staff to pick up the pieces of the broken people who had put their trust in Dr. Phil." Leah went on to say that at least one guest has attempted to commit after going on the Dr. Phil show. Employees said that it was a common thing for a lot of the staff to be yelled at by the executive producer, and they said that it was almost impossible for Dr. Phil not to know these things because he was so close to the executive producer and he was always in vicinity when these things would happen. Some of these employees also said that they were forced to perpetuate racist stereotypes, forced to book people with a history of mental health illness, and whenever they would reach out and say, "Hey, I don't think this is okay, I don't think we should have this person on the show," they were always shut down and told just to stay in their place. One former employee even said that they were told not to let one of their guests take their prescribed medication, and that was obviously to make them seem more out of sorts than they really were. Now, of course, both Dr. Phil and his executive producer deny all these allegations, but if everyone is saying it at this point, there has to be some form of truth in there. I also want to note that Dr. Phil has not been a licensed psychologist in both Illinois and California where he films, yet he continues to act like he's this doctor when he really isn't. Now, Dr. Phil did receive his PhD in psychology from the University of North Texas, but you have to renew your license, and he hasn't done that since 2006. So technically, he's not even a doctor. And with some of the behaviors that he has been accused of, I'm not surprised that he has not had his license renewed in almost 2 decades. But y'all, that is the end of this video on Dr. Phil and everything wrong with the Dr. Phil show. I, of course, want to know what you guys think in the comments down below. Please share your thoughts on everything that I spoke on, or maybe some things that I did not touch on. I would love to know your opinions and thoughts as always. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Remember, we are on the road to 100,000 subscribers and I'm so freaking excited for that. So make sure you are subscribed and you're sharing my channel with all your friends and family. And I will see you all in my next video. Love you guys. Bye. Mwah.
In this moment, come get close like you own name. Read your aura, you want more of all this love, you'll be your name. Release all of your burden.